Be warned. Your spiritual foundation is about to be tested. You ever get the feeling something big is coming, but you can't explain it? Like the ground beneath you is steady, but somehow it still feels like you're standing on thin ice. That's not paranoia. That's your soul sensing what your eyes can't see. And I need you to hear this before tomorrow, because time is running out. This isn't just a shift in the stars. This is spiritual warfare in disguise. Saturn, the old judge who doesn't smile, is marching straight into Aries, the warrior that doesn't ask questions, it just lights fires. And when these two meet, it's not a peaceful handshake, it's a collision. Think of it like lightning hitting dry forest. It's going to burn, and it's meant to. This is not about peace. This is about purification. There's a reason your sleep's been off, why your moods swing without warning, why things you used to enjoy suddenly feel empty. It's not just stress. It's not just life. It's the universe shaking your spirit awake. You are being tested, not gently, but fiercely. And no, this isn't some feel-good growth lesson wrapped in soft music and sage. This is the kind of test that doesn't care how many crystals are on your shelf or how many shadow work journals you've filled out. It's about what you do when the lights go out, when things don't make sense anymore, when everything comfortable starts falling apart. That's when the real you shows up or disappears. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're on a boat and you've been sailing smooth waters. Suddenly, the skies darken, the waves rise, your compass breaks. What do? That's where we are. Saturn is the storm, Aries is the fire, and together they're pulling every false sense of control out of your hands. If you're clinging to comfort right now, you're in trouble, because comfort is the first thing to go when the gods of change show up. People think ascension means glowing up and floating into bliss. Nah, my friend, real ascension feels like breaking apart before becoming whole again. It's not the elevator up, it's the mountain climb, and this is the final leg. That's why it hurts more. That's why it feels like you're being stretched, squeezed, even broken. But here's the thing. Only pressure makes diamonds, only fire forges swords, and only a soul willing to face its own undoing is truly ready to rise. If you're watching this right now, it's not by accident. This message didn't stumble into your life. It was sent. And if you turn your back on it, if you pretend you didn't feel the pull in your chest just now, you're gambling with something bigger than luck. You're gambling with purpose. So let me ask you, are you going to answer the call? Or are you going to scroll past, pretending you didn't hear the knock? Because the truth is, not everyone will make it through this. Some will break, some will run. But those who stay, those who lean into the storm instead of hiding from it, they'll emerge unrecognizable, transformed, ascended. And if you feel this in your bones, drop the number 77 in the comments right now. Let me know you're awake. Let the universe see that you're listening. Like this video if something clicked in your chest. Subscribe if you're ready to walk through fire and come out reborn. And share this with someone you know is on the edge. Because maybe, just maybe, this is the sign they've been waiting for. Now, breathe. Because what's coming next will explain why this is happening and what you must do before tomorrow if you want to pass this final test. Stay with me. Number 1. A cosmic deadline is upon you. There's something ticking in the background of your life right now, not a clock on the wall, but something deeper, something cosmic, a countdown. And most people can't hear it because they're too distracted by their routines, their comfort zones, their plans that make sense on paper. But the soul knows, it always knows, that quiet restlessness, that sudden impulse to make a move, change direction, or break something that no longer fits. That's the whisper of the universe. That's Saturn in Aries, setting the stage for a deadline you don't get to reschedule. Picture this. Someone hands you a burning torch. It's hot, wild and hungry. They don't explain what to do. They just whisper, "Run now, or lose everything this fire was meant to ignite." That's what this moment is like. You're being handed something sacred and dangerous at the same time. And here's the twist. If you stand still, if you hesitate, that flame doesn't wait. It burns you or burns out. Either way, what you could have carried disappears. That's the pressure of divine timing. People feel it in strange ways. A racing heart at midnight, a need to move, to change, to do something without knowing why. It's like your spirit got the memo before your mind did. You feel drawn to something, but it's unclear what. You feel pushed to act, but the path is foggy. That's because the test isn't about comfort, it's about courage, not the kind that waits for clarity, but the kind that jumps while still blind. You may be asking, but what if I make the wrong move? My friend, the real mistake is not moving at all, because this moment isn't offering you a plan. It's offering you an opening, and that opening won't wait. This isn't school. There's no extended deadline, no makeup test. This is the kind of cosmic window that opens once and disappears before you even realize it was there. Here's what Saturn in Aries really means. Saturn is structure, Aries is motion. When these two forces clash, they demand action with accountability. Not random action, but purposeful, focused energy. Imagine a dam cracking, pressure building behind it. You either channel that flood into something powerful, or you drown under it. That's what's coming, and it's already started. Some of you are still trying to fix what's breaking, not realizing that what's falling apart was never meant to stay. You're looking for peace when the universe is calling for war, not against others, but against your own stagnation. This is spiritual evolution under fire. It's hard, I know. You want signs, clear answers, safety nets. But what if the leap is the sign? What if trusting your gut before your mind catches up is the very thing that saves you? A lot of people will wait for things to make sense. They'll wait for the map, for the plan, for the green light from someone else. And by the time they realize there was a window, it will have already shut. Quietly, without warning, without an announcement. But not you. Not if you're still listening. Not if something inside you is screaming, "Move now, decide now, act now." Because this isn't about fear, it's about fire. The kind that either burns away the old you or forges the next version of you. And only one of those outcomes leads to ascension. So ask yourself, can you run with the flame even when your hands shake? Can you honor the calling before you understand it? If yes, then you're already ahead of the rest. Number 2, becoming the first of your kind. There comes a moment in every soul's journey where the road disappears beneath their feet. No signs, no guides, just silence and fire. And yet, something inside still says, go. That's what it means to become the first of your kind. See, most people are waiting for permission. They look for proof, for someone to walk the path first, to say, yes, it's safe, you can come now. But Saturn in Aries doesn't work like that. Saturn throws you into the storm, and Aries lights the match. Together, they don't just ask if you're ready, they dare you to move before you're certain, to run when everyone else is standing still. Imagine you're walking through a dense forest at night. No trail, no compass, just instinct. And suddenly, in your hand, appears a machete, not a map, a blade. Because you're not meant to find the path. You're meant to carve it. That's the role of a trailblazer. That's your role right now. You may feel alone, confused, even scared. You may ask, why do I feel like I don't belong anywhere anymore? Because you're not supposed to fit in. You're being shaped to stand out. The fire you feel isn't punishment. It's preparation. Leaders are never molded in peace. They're forged in friction, in silence, in decisions that make no sense to others, but feel necessary to the soul. And let me tell you something real. When you outgrow your old life, it won't let go of you quietly. It'll pull, it'll guilt, it'll whisper, stay where it's safe. But safety is the lie. Growth lives on the edge. And this fire? It's here to burn down every version of you that was trying to blend in, so the one who was born to lead can finally rise. You're not crazy for feeling disconnected. You're not lost. You're being relocated by destiny. The urge to leave the job, end the friendship, step into the unknown, that's not recklessness. That's alignment. That's your higher self taking the wheel while your ego panics in the back seat. Let me give it to you straight. Pioneers don't get comfort. They get calling. They walk through deserts where no one claps. They break curses no one admits existed. They build bridges from pain that others pretend to ignore. And when Saturn in Aries comes knocking, it's not asking for your resume, it's asking for your resilience. So if you're feeling like no one understands you lately, good. That means you're not repeating history, you're rewriting it. You're not echoing someone else's journey, you're carving your own. That's what leaders do, that's what chosen ones do. And it's hard. It hurts, it's lonely, but it's also how greatness begins. Think of the phoenix. It doesn't fly until it burns. Think of the seed. It doesn't grow until it breaks open. That's what's happening to you. You're not falling apart. You're breaking open. And yes, this path feels uncertain, but ask yourself, would you rather be painfully authentic or comfortably stuck? Because the universe is done waiting for your fear to leave. It's moving now, with or without you. So choose. Not later, not tomorrow. Now, number 3. The warrior. Without a war. There's a strange kind of energy in the air lately, isn't there? Like your soul is standing at attention, like a soldier waiting for orders that never come. You wake up with a pulse pounding like you're late for something, but you don't know what. Your body feels charged, but your path looks blank. This is what it means to be a warrior without a war. It's frustrating. You feel the fire, the force, the need to move. But where? What for? You're not alone. This is the paradox of Saturn in Aries. Aries fills your spirit with drive, with raw energy, with the hunger to act. Saturn, though, adds resistance. It asks for structure, focus, and discipline. And so here you are, in the middle of a cosmic clash, adrenaline in your veins, no battlefield in sight. You might ask, what am I supposed to do with this feeling? That pounding in your chest, that restless mind. It's not just anxiety, it's your inner warrior waking up, but not yet told where to fight. Imagine a tiger in a cage, powerful, alert, muscle ready to pounce, but trapped behind bars. It's not meant to be still, its very nature is motion, hunt, pursuit, but place it in a space too small, and that same energy turns inward, becomes nervous pacing, frustration, confusion. That's you right now, not because you're weak, but because your spirit knows it's meant for more. And here's the mistake most people make in this phase. They try to burn off the energy instead of understanding it. They lash out, start fights, chase chaos, not because they're angry, but because they need something to match the fire within. But Aries doesn't reward noise. And Saturn? It punishes wasted movement. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing the right thing at the right time. So you sit with the energy, you study it, you ask, why am I being asked to hold back when everything in me wants to move? Because discipline is being tested here, not desire. You've already proven you have the fire. Now the test is whether you can aim that fire like a blade instead of letting it burn wildly. Think of an archer. The bow is drawn. Tension builds. Every muscle is tight, focused, ready. But they don't release just because they're tired of holding it. They release when the target is locked. That's you now. Your soul is drawing the bow, and the universe is saying, not yet. Wait, focus, breathe. It's uncomfortable. You want to leap. You want to shout. You want to do. But this part of the test is about refining your strength, not spending it recklessly. You are being sharpened like a sword, not swung blindly. Every second you hold your focus builds spiritual precision. Every moment you resist distraction, the blade gets keener. Ask yourself, what am I training for? What am I becoming? Because even though the battlefield isn't visible yet, it's being prepared. And when it comes, you'll be needed, not as noise, but as impact. Not as chaos, but as clarity, not as scattered energy, but as a weapon of alignment. This is not inaction, this is containment, this is strategy. The stillness you feel is sacred. It's not failure, it's formation. You don't need to explode to prove you're powerful. You don't need to fight just to feel alive. Your strength is already seen. In how you wait, in how you aim, in how you hold the fire without letting it burn you from the inside out. So when that battlefield finally opens, and it will, you won't show up exhausted from chasing shadows. You'll arrive sharpened, ready, undeniable. This is how warriors rise without war. This is how spiritual weapons are born. Number 4, the sacred separation. Have you felt it lately? That strange sense of distance, even in the middle of a room full of people, like you're smiling, talking, laughing, but something deeper inside feels far away. That's not you being broken. That's not disconnection. That's sacred separation. And it's not loneliness. It's a divine rerouting. See, there's a moment in every awakening where the crowd gets blurry, where the voices around you sound familiar but no longer fit. You're not judging them, you're not angry, but something inside knows you're not going the same direction anymore. That's Saturn in Aries at work. Saturn strips things down to truth. Aries pulls you forward into purpose. Together, they don't isolate you out of cruelty. They carve space around you so your spirit has room to move, so your identity can stop echoing other people's voices and finally hear its own. You might ask, why do I feel like I'm drifting from people I used to love? Because you're not supposed to stay who you were forever. Growth demands departure. And sometimes the people who once felt like home become the weight that keeps the rocket from launching. Not because they're bad, but because your flight path has changed. Imagine a tree growing tall. Its roots are deep in the earth, surrounded by other trees. But as it reaches for more light, its branches start to stretch in directions the others don't. It's still part of the forest, but it's reaching higher, wider, further. That's you. Your roots don't need to be cut, but your branches can't be confined. This is where many fall back, because spiritual separation feels unnatural. We've been taught that belonging means always staying close, but real belonging comes from being true to your direction, not glued to your past. If a rocket stayed on the launch pad just to be close to the people waving below, it would never see space. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. This part of the journey hurts because it's quiet. The invitations stop, the conversations shift. People notice you changing, and not all of them cheer. Some pull away, some question, some even mock. And you wonder, am I losing everyone, or just losing who I thought I had to be to stay loved? That's the shift. That's the identity reset. Saturn is severing illusions. Aries is igniting independence. Together they're asking, can you still walk forward when no one claps? Can you still choose yourself, even if it means walking alone for a while? This is not exile, it's elevation. The sacred path you're being asked to walk doesn't open for groups. It only opens when you walk as yourself. not as the version others remember, not as the image you've protected, just you. Raw, real, ready. And yes, that's terrifying, because for so long we've measured our worth by the crowd, by approval, by proximity to people who felt safe. But now the universe is whispering, let go of who you were so I can show you who you are. This is the sacred separation, where the soul steps out from the noise, where clarity isn't loud, it's quiet, where strength is measured not by how many follow, but by how far you're willing to go alone. So if you feel that silence, lean in. It's not emptiness, it's space for expansion, because the next level of your life won't be built on old circles. It will be born from your decision to walk through the unknown, fully, fearlessly, as the true you. Number 5. Public truths and private audits. Growth isn't always quiet. In fact, sometimes it's loud, exposed, and uncomfortable. You thought you were healing in private, doing the work in silence, writing your affirmations, setting intentions under the moonlight. But now it's all being dragged into the daylight. That's not sabotage, that's Saturn in Aries. This transit doesn't whisper, it broadcasts. It doesn't allow you to keep your growth hidden like a secret journal under your pillow. It grabs your truth and shoves it into public view. Conversations turn into tests. Random people trigger the very lessons you thought you'd already passed. Your own words get thrown back at you, not to shame you, but to prove you. It's unsettling. You may be asking, why do I feel like the universe is testing me every time I open my mouth? Because it is. You're not being punished. You're being audited. Imagine you're running a business. For months you've been working behind the scenes, organizing, building, preparing. But then comes the inspector, the one who checks if what you built actually holds up under pressure. That's Saturn. It's not here to shame you. It's here to make sure your foundation isn't made of cardboard and wishful thinking. And Aries? Aries doesn't believe in secret work. It amplifies. It turns internal shifts into external echoes. Suddenly, people are poking your boundaries. Conversations are pushing your patience. And strangers seem to hit the very nerves you've been trying to soothe. You might think, I've done the work, so why does it still feel shaky? Because the final phase of growth isn't internal, it's external proof. It's walking your truth through fire and not flinching. It's one thing to talk about boundaries, it's another thing to hold them when someone you love crosses the line. It's easy to say, I've healed, when you're alone. But when someone shows up with the same wound wrapped in a new face, can you choose differently? This is what Saturn in Aries demands, not performance, but presence, not noise, but nerve. Can you stand still in your truth when everything around you tests it? Think of a sculpture. It's carved in private. The artist works in silence, shaping every detail with care. But one day, it's placed in a gallery, lights on, eyes watching. No more adjustments, just presence, and it either speaks for itself or it crumbles. You're the sculpture now, and the world is watching, not to judge, but to reflect. Conversations become mirrors, reactions become reports. The friction you face now isn't random, it's a cosmic spotlight checking if your beliefs are real or just rehearsed. But here's the thing, this isn't about shouting your truth. You don't need to preach. You don't need to convince anyone. Saturn doesn't care about applause. It's watching for authentic alignment. Can you hold your values, not because they're popular, but because they're yours? You'll know you've passed this phase when praise feels unnecessary, when approval becomes irrelevant, when you no longer need the world to validate what your soul already knows is true. And yes, it may feel raw, you may feel exposed, but that's the point. Growth isn't just about how you transform in the dark, it's about how you stand in the light. This is your spiritual audit, your soul's inspection. And it's not to break you, it's to certify you. So if it feels like life is suddenly louder, good. That means your truth is no longer a theory. It's becoming your voice, your presence, your walk. And now the world sees it too. Number 6, you already felt it coming. Let's be honest. You already knew something was shifting. Long before the calendars circled May 24th. Long before the astrology posts or spiritual updates. Deep in your gut, in that quiet space between thoughts, you felt something changing. You just didn't know what to call it, because what you're going through didn't start with the stars. It started with a crack in your comfort. That odd heaviness in the morning. The disinterest in things that used to excite you. The strange, emotional distance, even from people you care about. The questions that started whispering late at night. Who am I becoming? Why does my life feel like it doesn't fit anymore? That wasn't burnout. That wasn't failure. That was the contraction before a birth. You've outgrown the space you were living in, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. And here's the truth no one says out loud. When your soul grows faster than your life can catch up, the result isn't clarity. It's chaos. Suddenly the job feels off. The routine feels fake. The identity you spent years building feels too small, too scripted, too not you. And it's confusing, because nothing technically is wrong, yet everything feels wrong. You might be wondering, why do I feel like a stranger in my own life? Because you're not who you were anymore, and the version you're becoming hasn't fully landed yet. This space between who you were and who you're becoming, that's sacred. It's not supposed to make sense. It's supposed to shake you loose from what's expired. Think of a snake shedding its skin. There's a point where the old layer begins to peel, crack, and constrict. It's itchy, uncomfortable, and the snake doesn't know exactly what it'll look like on the other side, but instinct tells it one thing. Keep moving, not because it's ready, but because staying still would suffocate it. That's you. You are shedding the version of yourself that made sense for who you were, not because it was fake, but because it's finished. And now the pressure, the confusion, the strange emotional fog, that's the labor pain of becoming something new. This shift isn't about upgrading the past. It's not a version 2.0 of your old self. It's a complete rewrite, a new archetype, one that hasn't existed in your life before, and that's why it's hard. Because you can't look to your past for guidance. It doesn't speak this language anymore. You can't ask for directions from people who don't feel what you're feeling. They can't see the map you're being asked to walk. And maybe you're asking, how do I know I'm not just lost? Because lost feels like wandering with no compass. This feels like labor, messy, painful, exhausting, but with a deep inner knowing that something's coming. You don't need to have all the answers right now. You just need to trust the contraction, trust the storm, trust the parts of you that feel like they're breaking down, because they are, and they need to. Because what's emerging isn't a shinier version of the old you. It's a soul that's been reforged, rewritten, realigned, one that walks differently, thinks differently, loves differently, lives differently. You already felt this coming. Your nervous system knew before your mind could name it. The chaos isn't random, it's confirmation. You're right on time, right on track, right where you're supposed to be. And soon, when the dust settles, you won't look back and see ruins. You'll see roots, because something new is being born, and it looks like you. Number 7. The price of avoidance is spiritual fading. Not all endings are loud. Some are so quiet, you don't even hear them happening. You just start waking up a little more numb each day. You still smile. You still answer the messages. You still go through the motions. But something's missing. Not broken, not burned, just gone. This is the most dangerous kind of death. the spiritual fade. See, people fear collapse. They fear chaos, crisis, dramatic breakdowns. But that's not the real danger. The real danger is absence. The kind of slow, creeping silence that comes when you ignore your calling for too long. You don't shatter, you don't scream, you just start disappearing from your own life, and it starts so subtly. First, your passions dull. You stop doing things that lit you up. Then your words lose weight. You speak, but nothing lands. Conversations pass through you like wind through empty halls. You begin to watch life instead of live it. Friends say, "You seem different lately." But they can't quite say why, and neither can you, because it's not a mood, it's a missing piece. You may be wondering, how did I get here? The truth is, slowly. It always happens slowly. Not from failure, but from avoidance. Not from weakness, but from delay. You kept putting off the call, the impulse, the instinct. You said, maybe later, maybe when I'm ready, maybe when it's easier. But Saturn doesn't pay in maybes. Saturn rewards action, not potential, not intention, participation. If the fire inside you goes unanswered long enough, it doesn't explode, it fades. And that fading, it doesn't look like disaster. It looks like detachment, like you're in the room, but not really in the room, like you're touching your life but leaving no fingerprints. It's not that the universe gives up on you, it's that you stop responding to it, and when that happens, your energy goes dim. You still exist, but you're no longer felt. Imagine a lighthouse high on the edge of a dark coast. Its job is to guide others, to send light through the storm. But one night, without warning, the light doesn't turn on, not because it broke, but because no one showed up to flip the switch. That's what happens to your soul when you keep ignoring the work you were meant to do. Eventually, the world stops depending on your light, because it no longer expects it to shine. You might ask, but what if I'm not ready? What if I fail? And that's fair, but failure at least keeps you present, engaged, alive. Avoidance does the opposite. It robs you quietly, breath by breath, day by day, until you're still alive in the body, but your purpose has left the room. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless, but you do need to be present. You need to show up for the thing inside you that keeps knocking, keeps whispering, keeps aching for attention. Because if you don't just delay your destiny, you begin to dissolve from it. You become a shadow in your own story. Not because you weren't chosen, but because you didn't choose back. Saturn in Aries won't beg you. It won't chase you. It simply opens a door and waits. And if you keep walking past it, the door closes, not with punishment, but with silence. And then all that fire, all that potential, all that power, you'll carry it, but it'll never touch anything again. And that, right there, is the true cost. Not the drama of destruction, but the ache of never having truly lived. Number 8. The fire or the ghost you choose. There comes a moment where the universe doesn't ask. It demands. Not gently, not politely, but with fire, with rupture, with a pressure so real it tightens your chest and pulls your soul forward, even when your mind tries to hold back. That's Saturn in Aries, and it's not showing up like a calm ritual with soft candles and quiet affirmations. No, this is demolition, a spiritual breaking of everything that kept you small, quiet, undecided. You don't get to tiptoe through this. You either ignite or you evaporate. You become the fire or the ghost. And that's the choice. Not between right or wrong, but between becoming and fading. You may feel it already, restlessness at strange hours, that haunting pressure in your chest, the feeling that something big is coming, but it's not arriving to you, it's arriving through you. You might ask, Why do I feel so unsettled when I'm doing all the right things? Because the calling doesn't care about comfort. And this phase isn't about perfect timing. It's about willingness. It's about whether you're ready to drop the version of yourself that was waiting for clarity, for certainty, for permission, and finally step in. You are not here to chase signs. You are the sign. You are the shift. You are the doorway that others are waiting to see open. And right now, the pressure you're feeling isn't a punishment. It's a signal that the old skin is cracking and the new version of you is ready to breathe. But here's what no one tells you. Becoming who you're meant to be often feels like dying first. Because a part of you is dying, the part that was content to wait, to wonder, to second guess. And as that version fades, something else stirs. A whisper from the future, a ghost of the self you never stepped into, and it asks, why haven't you become me yet? Not to haunt you, but to push you. This isn't about achievement. This isn't about proving anything. This is about ignition, about saying yes to the transformation even when you have no blueprint, no applause, no guarantees, just a burning knowing that staying the same is no longer an option. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and seeing not your reflection, but the version of you that exists on the other side of fear. They look stronger, sharper, unshaken. They don't wait to be chosen. They choose, not because they were ready, but because they refuse to stay behind. That's who's calling to you now. You might think, but what if I'm not enough? What if I can't hold the fire? The truth is, you don't have to hold it. You are it. You've always been it. You just forgot. And May 24th, that's not the start. That's the unveiling. The moment where everything the fire touched becomes visible. The moment where the ghost steps forward, or the warrior does. The universe won't force your hand, but it will raise the stakes. And right now, the path ahead doesn't wait for the confident. It waits for the willing. So here it is, laid bare, the fire or the ghost. One will burn everything that isn't you. The other will whisper, what if, for the rest of your life. Choose. So here we are, at the edge of everything you've just uncovered. This isn't just a forecast, it's a final spiritual checkpoint. Saturn in Aries is not asking for more knowledge, it's demanding action. You now know the fire is here. The question is, will you walk through it or fade into the silence? If this message lit something inside you like this video, subscribe for more and drop the number 77 in the comments to say, I choose the fire. Let's spread this message. Someone out there needs it, and you might be the spark that wakes them up. Stay awake. Stay ready.